Hi and welcome to day one of the AI Summit New York. I'm delighted to be joined by Sriniwas, who's the founder and executive chairman of Sria. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what are the AI adoption challenges for today's businesses, both large and small?
I think the biggest challenge is really understanding where the data is and what use cases do they actually need to do. A lot of companies have data or they don't have data, and those don't have data really have to collect them, because what can't be measured or collected can't be improved. So that's the first step which we found in the small and medium companies really don't have data, and the ones who have really don't know what to do with them and where to find them. And then comes some companies who really have everything, but then they are confused about what use cases should they be looking at, because they've got too many options and they're trying to understand which one to go after. And that's where really our method of scoring your data is important. But the most important thing is understanding what use cases to build on data. Because without a use case, data is virtually useless.
And so the last year or so, we've seen generative AI being the buzzword in the sector,
right.
And I'm sure that will continue today at the show. But what do you think's next? What's the next big trend we're going to see?
So I think, basically we had, if you look at the evolution of AI or machine learning, you had predictive AI, then prescriptive, then generative. So I think where the next step would be beyond generative AI would be, in my opinion, precision AI or precise AI, and that, or AI squared. That's where you basically, where generative AI, I would not use the word stops, is it produces content on demand, on generation, but it still requires a lot of interpretation before it can be converted to something called an improvement. Now, the next step really would be where the knowledge of the improvement science is matched with the content generated by generative AI to produce precise improvements to outcomes. That is a path which I think needs to be done. So that the focus should be more on improvements of outcomes and less on content creation, because content creation is only a step to the final result.
And do you think the development of AI is going to be dominated by a handful of huge companies? Or where do you think sort of small, perhaps more agile players can work alongside those big players?
Right. So I think it's a combination of the two. So they really both need to coexist, and they need to figure out a way to collaborate. So the large companies are really good doing the big stuff. However, the OpenAI, for example, is a startup that just came from nowhere, right? So there are companies like OpenAI which challenge even the best. And Microsoft's collaboration with OpenAI is a perfect example of how a large company and a small company can together change the world. So I think that's where we need more such collaborative efforts, and not just in one area like in the Bay Area. It needs to be across the world, maybe in Atlanta, in New York. I would like to see the companies like IBM, Coca-Cola, where I live in Atlanta, come forward and partner with cutting edge technology startups like ours or others, so that the end result is much available, much faster, because smaller companies are more agile, they're more nimble, and they produce results very quickly, and there's less amount of bureaucracy, red tape. So what happens is that the ability to reach the end customer will be much faster if they are given the space and adoption by the larger companies. So I think there has to be a very healthy marriage between two, I would say, unequal partners in size, need not be in quality or in knowledge.
And when you mention this global sort of collaboration, I think a key element of that is going to be looking at governance and AI ethics. What is Sria's position on that? What do you think the global community can do to ensure responsible AI?
Well, I think responsible AI is very critical, because we don't want to be in a situation. I mean, there are different levels of AI. So one is called AGI, is what many companies are trying to. It's called artificial general intelligence. That's a stage where you say that AI is equal or better than human eye, and that's dangerous in one way if it is uncontrolled. So I think responsible intelligence or AI would mean that there has to be checks and balances, there has to be safeguards. There can't be growth without, I would say, any checks. And that's where I think there has to be a healthy, I would say, marriage or a collaboration between both the positives and the people who are also skeptical. But we need to understand what are they scared about and what are the issues which are important. We don't want 10 years, 20 years from now where robots just take over and we become meaningless. We become their robots. So we don't want that. So we want it to a situation where the human is firmly in control and the human intelligence has the final say. Okay? That has to be in place. Otherwise, we're looking at something pretty dangerous which we don't want to happen.
And what are you excited about next in?
So we are really excited about what we are working on. So we are working on what is called AI Square. So it's taking AI to the power of AI. Okay. And what we're using is we are using AI to teach AI. So that's what we talked about, is how to actually improve. So we have, I've worked for 5 years, I'm a professor. I've worked for 5 years on a proprietary technology where we could actually give improvements rather than just predictions. So predictions are great, but how do I actually improve? So for example, you go to a doctor does a diagnosis and says, I predict that if you do nothing, you're going to catch pneumonia. Great. Now, here is a medication that's prescription. They give you amoxicillin. Great. Now, am I going to improve? I don't know. Then what's the point, right? It's like what I call is operation successful, patient died. We don't want that. We want a situation where the improvement is very quantified, saying, okay, there's a 50% chance that you will recover in 2 days, or 80% chance you will recover in 5 days, provided you take these medications the right way. So that is missing, the last step, and we are very excited to bring the technology. That's why we're here.
Brilliant. Well, good luck with the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.